Hey everyone, it's me, Monica Laurette, here again with a new video, and today's gonna be kind of a fun one for me because it's really showing me how much I know the books on my shelf. So I wanted to do a video of books that have a wintertime, Christmas time feel to them that you could possibly pick up in the winter time or before Christmas. And turns out that out of the stack that I'm going to be showing you, 3 of them actually have like a Christmas time, winter time feel. The other ones are just vibes. So let's just get into it with the first 2, which are 2 books that are Christmas themed. So the first one is The Paper Bag Christmas by Kevin Allen Milne, and I read this one last year along with The Christmas Clock, and this is by Kat Martin. I got these 2 books from my thrift store. They had like a whole shelf of Christmas books, and I read the summaries for these, and they just seem the cutest. I don't know if I am going to reread either of these books. I may honestly bring them back to the thrift store just because I don't feel like I need to reread at least this one. I may reread this one. I really like the message in this one, but these 2 books definitely have a Christmas time feel with Christmas in the title, so highly recommend these 2 if you're looking for quick little Christmas time reads. The next book isn't a Christmas time book. I say it's wintertime because it takes place during winter months, and it also takes place in Canada, kind of like northern New England. So that is kind of where I get like the wintertime vibe from this book. But it is a book that I have read, and that is Bark Skins, and this is by Annie Proulx. It is a chonker, so be warned of that. But this follows 2 different family storylines in Quebec, and it follows them where the 2 men start working together at first, and then how their lines split up, and you just follow their different storylines. It does have to do with the lumber industry, which is not the best industry at all. Some places over lumber, some places don't, but it does focus on the lumber industry. There is death in here, so be forewarned of that. There's other content warnings. Check out the story graph. There will be other reader submitted trigger warnings because I feel like I'm forgetting one, but who knows.
Hi, so it's Editing Monica. I know, it's not a trigger warning. There is a character who is possibly trans in the book. The character is never explicitly stated as such. If I remember correctly how it's like stated in the book, it's one of the uncles in one of the storylines, I forget which family line, had a wife, and for this family's entire life, ever since this uncle had this wife, this aunt, they knew her as a woman, and it turns out, I think it was at her death, found out that she was at least born a man or was a man. So with how it was written, I don't know if the character was trans or not. So if that is something that would turn you off, that kind of writing towards trans characters or gender identity, maybe steer clear of this book. I think that's what was coming into my head, and I didn't want to say it out loud because being trans is not a trigger warning, but it's the writing, how it's described, could be triggering. Back to the video.
This book, I really liked. It was actually gifted to me from my French professor and advisor from my undergrad studies. It's one of her favorite books, and so I'm very happy she gave it to me. Even though it doesn't look Christmassy on the cover, Quebec in the wintertime. Think of it like that. There's a lot of scenes in winter in this book. Alright, now we're getting into books that are just vibes. Whether it's the story, a character, or the cover, the vibe of the book gives me wintertime, Christmas time feelings. There are 2 other book series that I wanted to put within the vibes list, but because they are HarperCollins books, and at the time of recording this, the Union still does not have a contract, I will not be showing those. But at the time when HarperCollins does get their contract, I may put those in the comments, maybe pin a comment down below with the other books that I wanted to put on this list. It would feel too much like a review, and HarperCollins Union is asking not to review books. Information to the Union profiles down in the description below for more information for you to read on that. Now, the first book in the vibes section is also pretty big. I think it's actually, yeah, it's thicker than Barkskins, but that is because it is an entire trilogy rolled into one, and that is the Inheritance trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. And I don't know why, but just the cover of this book, like the blues and everything, it just gives me a wintertime vibe. I have no idea if this takes place in the winter. I got this from my friend. Oh, and there's also a novella in here. There's 4 books in this big book. It looks very interesting. I've had it for a while. It's mainly the size that scares me, but I just have to remember it is 3 books, or 4 books in one. So perhaps I will be able to get into this soon. Gosh, look at the size difference. I'm gonna pull you up more so you can be seen. And put you up here. But no! I'll show you something else Christmas themed. I got Luke a Christmas collar. I don't know if you can see, it's a little like felt Christmas tree on his little collar. Because I like him to be festive. I bought it in a 3-pack. It also has a pumpkin and a turkey one. But I purchased them like a week ago, so he'll wear those next year. And I may try and look for some other holiday ones. What do you think? You like that idea? Huh? I'll put you down. Do you want to go, Luke, or do you want to stay in? I think he wants to leave. Hold on. So the next book that kind of give me Christmas winter vibes, only because one of the main characters has the last name Winter, is The 13th Tale, and this is by Diane Setterfield. I'm actually currently reading this book. I'm a decent of the way through, so happy about that. Hoping to maybe finish it this winter.
Editing me again. The scene that I'm currently in with this book is in December. The actual main character, her birthday's in December. So, another reason that for some reason my brain decided to kick out of my memory until right now.
It's a good book so far. It's just, there are some things that I just can't get behind in the storyline, but I will let you guys know how I feel when I finish. Also, I just noticed, so bonus reason, this book on the cover of 13th Tale, it kind of looks Christmassy. It looks like a Christmas wrapping paper almost, but it's like a cool sprayed edge design. I wonder what it's actually supposed to be, but bonus. All right, the next one goes off of just kind of like cover, and that is For the Wolf by Hannah Witten. And the cover just kind of makes me think of like forest, winter, foggy time, and where I live, that is what the winter is like. So that's why this kind of gives me wintertime feelings, and you know, nothing else, because it's a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. The next book is mainly of where this guy lived, and the cover of this edition of his works that make me have a wintertime feel, and that is this specific edition of Robert Frost's poems. It has a white birch tree on it. He's from New Hampshire. That's kind of why I get this feeling. But this edition specifically, I know there are other editions that don't look like this. Seeing as how this edition had a white birch tree on it, I decided to get it because it is my state tree. But fun fact, I'm allergic to that kind of tree. Alright, and the last book that gives me wintertime themes, it's also a book I have not read yet. So as you can see, haven't read, reading, have read. So I really don't know a lot about the books on my shelves. If you tell me this has nothing to do, the Inheritance trilogy has nothing to do with winter, oh well. It's staying in the video, okay? The last book is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, and mainly just because, like with Robert Frost this edition, they're ice skating on the cover. I feel like that sets it in a wintry tone. I don't know if any of the Little Women story, like the significant parts of it, happen in wintertime. I've never even seen the movies, any of the movies for Little Women. I'm not big on classics, but this is one of the classics that I would want to read. I tried reading, I think it was Wuthering Heights last year, and it just didn't work with me. So we'll give this one a shot. But thank you for watching this video, going through my winter vibe reads and my Christmas reads with me. If you have any books that are set in winter, set in Christmas time that you really love, leave those in the comments below. I'd love to have some more books that are themed. I may not be able to get to them this year, but potentially for next year, I could have a month of themed wintry, Christmassy reads for December and more wintry reads for January and February. So leave those down below and let me know anything about these books that you think I should know going forward into them. I will, obviously look through them before I read. I look forward to the next video and hearing your guys' thoughts. A bientôt!